Hi everyone, this is Tiamo, and I want to thank you so much for all of your incredible comments and your questions that you've been sending me, and I've been getting so many emails, and I'm really excited about today's video because I'm going to be addressing your top 5 questions that you've been asking me personally. So we're going to be covering that today, and before we do, I want to quickly recap. So in video number 1, I talked about your top 5 challenges that you shared with me around growing your music business. And then in video number 2, I shared the 7 illusions and lies of the music industry matrix. And then in video 3, I really talked about how to have incredible success in 5 secret markets outside the music industry. And those markets, as just a quick review, those 5 markets were the academic market, corporate market, the seminar market, the network marketing market, and also the association market. And I've been doing all of these for years now. And this video is going to show you how to do this, how to take the next step. And what I love most about this is that you'd be performing in front of instant audiences. And for me, you might remember in one of the videos that I shared that I remember one of my breaking points was that I was struggling so much to self-promote and to get people to come to my shows, and eventually I had this one really big show and only 2 people showed up. And I'm not going to go into the details of the story, but for me that was the tipping point because it forced me to create a new path. And from that, I discovered these 5 secret markets, and then I started performing in front of thousands of people. So I went from 2 people to then performing in front of thousands of people who were already there. I didn't have to do anything to get them there, and it was so liberating for me. So we're going to talk about that today. And you know, my fee in doing that, in these markets and doing musical keynote concerts, as you might remember from previous videos, is that I currently charge $10,000 per gig. Now, I'd say on average, when you get going with this, the average fee would be around $5,000 per musical keynote in these markets. And on top of that, you know, because I also talked about custom songs and how when you're doing these musical keynotes for these markets and in front of these audiences, you can also create custom songs for these businesses, for these corporations, for these schools, you know, things like that. And then charge, like I charge $5,000 per custom song. And then on top of that, I also sell my album. And what I do with that is, you know, let's say a company, they'll buy, if they're going to have 1,000 employees at their event, like let's say it's a corporate training, then the company will buy my albums in bulk, and I'll sell it for $8 each instead of $15, let's say. I'd sell it for $8 each. That's 1,000 employees, because the incentive for them is that they're giving their employees gifts of appreciation. And so the employees show up, and there's an album right there in their seat. And so, you know, let's say if I'm selling it at $8 an album, 1,000 people, that's $8,000. And if we add all that up, the musical keynote itself, and then you also have the custom song on top of it, and then the album sales, that ends up being $18,000 for 1 gig. So I want to address now your 5 most popular questions, because I've been getting so many of them for, you know, a lot of you who are really excited about how you can get into these markets and make it real in your life. So the first most popular question that's been coming up, and this isn't in any particular order, but the first question is, you know, Tiamo, I don't have a manager, I don't have an agent, I don't have a publicist, I'm not signed to a label or anything like that. And, you know, what I want to reiterate, because I've addressed this before, is that this is not the music industry. And I know in the music industry, it's like you have to try to break into these fortresses. And it's like it feels impossible sometimes and daunting and really discouraging. And what I want you to know is that when you know who to contact, you don't need a middleman. like you do in the music industry or middle woman, because that's a huge block for people, and they don't know how to get these contacts. But when you have direct contact, you can just do it yourself, which is so much more empowering in that way. And when I say do it yourself, then the next question you had for me is, well, I don't have the time. And what I love about this is how simple this is, because if you just know who the contacts are, you can reach out to them yourself, of course, but you could also have interns do it for you. I mean, I've done that, where interns are doing it for free. Maybe they're doing it for college credit, or maybe they're doing it for some kind of work experience in the music industry, and they're doing the contacting for you. So that would save you time. Or you could even have professionals on your team that they're reaching out to these markets and getting you booked, and perhaps you have an arrangement with them where they get a commission. So let's say, for example, your first musical keynote, you get booked for, I don't know, let's say $3,000, and then maybe that person who made that contact who's working for you gets 10% of that. So that's really great incentive for them. If you think about time, and I know a lot of you are really overwhelmed around having to tour and doing tons of gigs all the time, and then promotion, and this is just one, maybe 2 gigs a month. Like, think about all the time freedom that comes with that. And it also, doesn't require any touring. Also, it doesn't require self-promotion, because when you're there on stage, people are already in the seats. It's like an instant audience of hundreds or maybe thousands of people. And also, when we think about social media, you don't have to spend hours on social media. And the other thing is, you don't have to pay your dues. I feel like that's such a big thing with musicians, is they feel like they have to play all these dingy gigs, small gigs, year after year to eventually get to some kind of elusive place. This isn't about that. That's just knowing who the contacts are, being prepared, and maybe even having people contacting for you and getting in front of these audiences. So the third question that's been really popular that you've brought up is, and I really love this one, because I feel how personal this one is that you've brought up your concern that you're too old, or that it's too late for you. What I want to remind you of is that this is not the music industry. Maybe if you're trying to become like the next pop sensation or rock star, that might be a different conversation. And even then, we could still like have some enlightening conversation around. But this is not the music industry, and age is not a factor. For me, I'm 38 years old, and I'm having way more success than I did when I was 20. Way more. Because I feel like I know how to navigate this. And these markets that I've shared with you about, they're not all concerned with, saying that, well, you're 25 now, so you're too old. Like, all they care about is value and impact that you have on their audiences, not age. So the fourth big question that you've raised in your emails and your comments and things like that is that you're not so sure that you see yourself doing this. Like, some of you have said, Tiamo, I've seen you do this, and I can see why maybe you've made that happen for you, but I don't know that it's possible for me. And what I want you to know is that for years, I was playing in coffee shops and bars and clubs and playing in front of really small rooms and not knowing what to do. And the great thing for you is that I've blazed a trail. All you have to do is walk it. So I got so frustrated to the point where I just created my own path. And so I did a lot of trial and error around that. And I put a lot of money into it too, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And you don't have to, because I've already done that. And so you can just walk with me and just duplicate what I've done, which I think is going to save you years. And so much of just having to figure out. You don't have to figure it out, because I've figured it out for you. And your fifth big question has been, how do I get started? And I know that so many of you are really excited about this and you want to know what the first steps are that you can take. And I'm about to answer that question. Before I do, I just want you to see yourself in the near future having time freedom and working from home and doing your music full time. Imagine yourself working from home, doing your music full time in ways that feel light and easy, because now you're just doing 1 to 2 gigs per month. And when you're selling your music from stage and you're selling your albums. And best of all, you're in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people who are engaged with your music. And you're doing what you love in the way that you've always envisioned. And you don't have to wait to be discovered anymore. You don't have to play the musician's lottery anymore. Because in the ways that I'm showing you here, you can be self-empowered and you can get started now. So how do you start this exciting journey? Well, my biggest recommendation is that you learn from a mentor who's already doing it and who's already had a lot of success with it. And so I'm inviting you to personally learn from me. And in an email that I'm going to be sending out this Wednesday, March 4th, I have a very special offer for you. And you need to open that email if you're ready to take this to the next level. And I'll be making an exclusive offer for you to work with me. And I'll have some amazing done-for-you surprises so that you can get started right now. So look out for that email that's going to be coming to you Wednesday, March 4th. This is a very limited opportunity that I know you are so going to love. And I'd love for you to leave your comments on this page as you've been doing. I've really cherished our engagement and our conversations and all the emails and questions that I've received. And I'm just so excited for taking this to the next level with you and to get started. I'll see you soon.